special needs or concession for special needs children is based on the concept of equity. And equity is something which is very well, for our government, or you can say the constitution of this country believes in equity. So when we are asking for concessions, we have to understand this, that this is the right of the child. We are not asking favors. It is not a favor, it is the right. But we have to be honest in our approach. So during the course of the presentation, I will, when I'll show you the sample letters, then I'll elaborate more on this point. Today, my focus will be mainly on CBSE board. I will also give you a comparison of CBSE with ICSE board and touch base upon IB board, what extra IB board offers to children with special needs. So my career as a special educator is not 15 years old. I was a teaching assistant, but then my husband got a transfer to UK. I was there, and that was the first time I witnessed something like an inclusive school. So I used to help with my daughter's school. Volunteering work is very, very popular in European countries. So I was a volunteer. And there I noticed that so much attention is given even to the students who are not so intelligent, who have issues like they cannot learn like the way the other children could learn. So that from there my journey started. And then when we came back, by then my own school where I was working previously, Martiniere Girls College, also had a resource room where a wonderful lady, Mrs. Ravi Shankar, was the special educator. And then my principal also encouraged me that, teaching assistant is very easy to get. Why don't you specialize yourself in this? So from there, my journey started and I kept learning. But let me tell you, books, classrooms, lectures, they are just not useful unless and until you are there in the resource room and practicing, because each case is different, each child is different, and the children teach you so much. No books, no professor can teach you what your own children can teach you. And from there, I picked up this. And I was working, because they were already two special educators working with the children, with the preparatory and the junior school. So I worked with the middle school. Now, what used to happen, once the middle school children came to class 9 and 10, my role stopped. So, but we realized when I went through the CICSE documents, their website, everything is available on the website of CBSE and ICSE. I came to know that these children can get certain benefits, certain facilities, even in their board exam. So then I delved into this topic of concession and I started applying. My first application was not accepted, because there were some loopholes. When I come to my letters, I will explain you. I had to redraft. I had to get it approved from my principal. I had to get my paperwork strong. So in the field of concessions, one thing we all need to pay attention on is the paperwork, right from the time the child comes under your care. This is for all special educator. Even if you are taking a child in the preparatory department, in class 1, in class 2, please ensure that you keep all her assessments, all her paperwork, all her reports very, very safely. That is really a big help when you want to avail those concessions later. All right. So on that note, let us begin with the topic for today. So there are, as you all know, there are Mainly, we will talk about these 5 boards which are present in our country. CBSE, I think, has the maximum number of schools under its ambit. Then we have CICSE school, which is also a national board. Then each state, like Uttar Pradesh, I belong to Uttar Pradesh, so we have a UP board, you might have an AP board. So similarly, every state has its own board. Then there is open school, NIOS, and then there is international board, which has in very recent time become more popular because of its, it has a very unique way of education. So CBSE lays the ground rule in our country, and CBSE draws its knowledge from RCI. Rehab Council of India is the body we all know which is dealing into this field. Now, CBSE has taken this list of disabilities. It is given in on their website. If you go to the CBSE website and explore it, they have got a new website now. So you can find all these documents over there. So CBSE has a list of disabilities. Unlike if you go to ICSE website, you will not find these list of disabilities. They have mentioned very less number of disabilities. So you can just see there is a long list of disabilities which can avail concessions through CBSE. So they are blindness, low vision, leprosy cured persons, hearing impairment, locomotor disability, dwarfism, intellectual disability, mental illness, autism, cerebral palsy, and muscular dystrophy, neurological conditions, SLD, which is my area, multiple sclerosis, speech and language disability, even thalassemia, hemophilia, sickle cell disease, multiple disabilities, including deafness and blindness, acid attack victim, and Parkinson's. So can you see how wide their approach is? That almost covers everything. So this is the, now why this, I'm stressing over here this, I want you all to know that boards are student friendly. Whether it is CBSE board or it is IB board or ICSE or NIOS, they are not teacher friendly. If any one of you is from CBSE or ICSE, you will know this, you can vouch for it. Everything which they do, every policy which they make is focused on students, not on teachers. So first thing, who can give you a disability certificate? Can I just go and speak to the class teacher and say, my child is having this problem, can you just give her some concessions? No, that is not possible. Again, my point which I said, could you please, I think somebody has unmuted herself. I would request all, thank you so much, Sweta. Okay, so who can give you this disability certificate? My take, try to get a certificate from a government hospital. Best. This is best. Now, this also depends upon the disability of the child. Now, if the child is visually impaired, then a National Association for Blind, which is a recognized institute at national level, can also give you the certificate. Okay, but otherwise, preferably you should try to get the certificate from a state or central government medical officer. Also, any practitioner which is registered with RCI. So whenever I have written the application, I have given the name of the person or the doctor who has assessed, and also the RCI number, the RCI registered number. So that makes my case very, very honest and valid. So any NGO or practitioner which is registered by RCI, central government or state government, can also issue the disability certificate. Now, when to apply? That is a very, very important question. We feel my child is about to write the board exam, I go to the school and then I apply. No, that is too late. There are a lot of chances that your case might not even be considered. So we all know that either in CBSE or in ICSE, the registration for the board exam happens one class advance. That means if your child is about to give class 10 exam, he or she needs to be registered in class 9. Same is for class 12. The registration process is completed in 11. Now, because if you are a special educator or you are a parent, you know your child is facing this problem right from the very beginning when the child is in junior school. So we know we will be taking care of all the paperwork, and then why wait? Right in class 9, the application should be sent along before the registration process. I'll give you the steps also. Now, it is preferred that the head of the institution, that means the headmistress or principal, whatever is called in your school or in your child's school, should be addressing to the board. That makes the case very strong. That means even the head of the institute is aware and the head of the institute is approaching the regional office. So in CBSE, it is the regional office, and in ICSE, we approach the board head office directly. And second thing, when you are approaching, you will write an application. To support that application, a relevant medical certificate is needed, and again, recommendation from the head of the school. That is must. For the next slide, I would like you to all take a screenshot. These are the steps. Now, parents, first step, parents and special educator, I would request you to read what are the instructions issued by CBSE. Go through that document. Next, get the child examined. Now, suppose you are applying in class 9, so you are applying 1 year in advance for class 10. The board prefers a latest assessment report. It is not a class 6 report, or maybe when the child was in class 3 or in class 6, that report will not be accepted. That was the first mistake I made. When my first application not exactly got rejected, but an objection was raised by the board. I'm telling you because I made that mistake. I have learned from my own mistakes. So I gave them a report of the child when she was in class 7. And where am I applying? I'm applying in class 9. So the board wrote back to me saying, we need a latest assessment report. So then we got the child examined again. And it is by rule, you all must be knowing, that every 2 years, we are supposed to repeat the assessment in order to see, there are 2 things we come to know. A, that the first examination or the first report is in sync with today's condition. And second, if we have worked on the child, we would like to see that happening, that change happening in that child. Okay, so that is the reason we need to get the assessment done again every 2 years. So in class 9, beginning of the class 9, we need to get the child examined and then submit the report. Okay, so parents make a request to school along with the copy of the certificate of disability. Then the school is supposed, this is CBSE, okay? The school is supposed to forward it to the regional office within the 7 days of the receipt of this application. The regional office will examine the request. In case of rejection, they will give you the reason. And then last date for seeking applicable exemptions will be same as that of last date of submission of the list of candidates. As you know, the school updates this list on the portal. So we need to get this work done before that. Okay. So any problem till here? Is there anything you have not understood? And if you have understood, let's have a thumbs up.
Ma'am, excuse me. The same room followed for state board also, ma'am.
There's some background noise. I can't hear you, Sylvia.
One second. Now, if you explain the step by step, ma'am, is the same rules will be followed by the state board also, ma'am?
I believe so. Reason
Okay.
being, every state will have, please visit the website and see what is your state asking. This is similar. ICSE and CBSE follows the same thing. Okay. Now the difference here is, in my case, because mine is an inclusive school, thank God for that, I did all this. Parents were just told, were taken into confidence. We had a meeting and we told them this is what we are going to ask. I did the homework, but every school doesn't have a special educator. So the schools which do not have a special educator, if there are any parents here, I would tell them to please read the instructions given and follow. This is your child's right. Even if the school doesn't have a special educator, no problem. This is something which board is giving you. So please avail this. It is for, and you know, one more thing, nothing comes on the mark sheet. Now, the first time when applied for this concession, my heart was like, oh my God, this poor child's mark sheet will have something written, you know, this is, he's a dyslexic child or she is a hearing impairment child. But to my surprise, nothing comes on the mark sheet. So it's as a mark sheet for a child without any disability. So I'm telling you, our boards are student friendly. Now I am going to talk today about the general concessions. Like in the beginning only, some of you had given what concessions are offered to students. Now there is a wonderful document available where CBSE very clearly explains that for this particular disability, this particular concession is given. For this particular disability, there is a wonderful table which can really help you. Okay, but there are certain facilities or concessions which are given across disabilities. One of them is extra time. You can get up to 3 hours. So in a 3-hour paper, up to 60 minutes you can get. Like 60-minute 3-hour paper is generally of class 12. In ICSE, only Hindi paper of class 10 is 3 hours. Otherwise, class 10 is a shorter duration paper and class 12 is a longer duration paper. So up to 60 minutes can be availed. That is available across disabilities. Second is Scribe. So we know what is a scribe. It is when this is the student which is dictating. You can see this child is visually impaired and she is writing the answers for her. Now, if you want a scribe, if you want extra time, all this needs to go in your application right in the beginning. Last moment, scribes can be provided. Like you must be knowing, suppose a child meets with an accident or some unprecedented situation comes up where he or she is unable to write, then towards the end also CBSE or ICSE does provide a scribe. But it is better to apply in the very beginning. What you can do, you can give the details of the scribe a little later. Now, there are certain forms which you need to fill, like where you will declare who is the scribe, what is her age, and other details. Okay, so CBSE wants total clarity. They will give you every possible concession, but what they need is clarity from you. So a scribe can be provided on request. Now, a very wonderful thing about Scribe is that I'll tell you in the next slide. But CBSE pays the scribe. Okay, so now scribe can be. Could you please mute yourself? I think somebody has unmuted. It will be great. Thank you so much. Okay, so the scribe is has to be a child which is not of the same class. That means if this child is in class 10, she can be in class 9. If this child is in class 12, she can be in class 11. They cannot be of the same class. And they cannot be, a class above. So we provide a class 9 child to class 10 student. And scribe is only supposed to note what the child is saying, the examinee is saying. No way he or she is supposed to add anything on their own. Now, scribe can be, what can an examinee do? Request the board to provide a scribe or choose a scribe and provide the details to the board. There is a form for it. It's written here as per the performa provided by CBSE. That is not happening in ICSE. When I come to that, I'll tell you. Okay. So next thing is, you can even have more than one scribe. Like for example, you have chosen a scribe for English exam, right? Science exam. But you know that particular scribe is not so good when it comes to writing Hindi. So you can even choose a different scribe for different subject, but one subject, one scribe. I think which is fair enough. You cannot be having too many people in the examination room. Secondly, the center superintendent shall forward all these requests to the regional office. Mostly a different room, a different setup is made, because you see, when a examinee is speaking, it is going to create disturbance to the other examiners. So a different setup or arrangement is made in this case, and scribe services are provided free of cost. So this is what CBSE offers on scribe. More is given when you read that document which I am telling you, you will get more information. Then there are other general provisions. CBSE would select a few schools for children with special needs. They don't have to run around the city. There is a reason for it, because an examiner and invigilator will also be allotted. Like for example, for visually impaired, generally somebody is allotted, an assistant superintendent is allotted, and that special examination center will be allotted to the examinee. The answer books will be separately sent, because it might have certain information added to it. So their scripts are sent separately. Okay. Then there is also a provision of a reader. Suppose you don't want a scribe. This happens a lot with children who have dyslexia, but they are okay when it comes to writing. So their problem is only in reading. So when you have such a person, then a reader can be provided, and that person is only going to read, no explanation of any particular word. So a reader can also be requested. But again, I'm saying, whatever request you are making, it should be also recommended by your psychologist or the medical practitioner. They should be saying, this child needs extra time in their report. This child needs a scribe, or this child needs a reader, or this child needs an assistive device. Suppose somebody has very, very poor eyesight, and in ICSE, I don't know about CBSE, but in ICSE, we have in geography exam something called a topo sheet. Now, reading, a normal eyesight person like me and you will find it difficult to read. So a poor eyesight child will have very much difficulty in reading that topo sheet. Other magnifying glass, mind you, is not allowed. But for such cases, a magnifying glass can be allowed. So I'm just giving you an example from my personal experience. Okay. So again, anything you need, write a letter, get your paperwork, and let the principal of your school do it. Okay, you can just help out. Assistive devices. CBSE at any cost doesn't allow a calculator. This is different in ICSE. When I come to that, I'll tell you. They do not allow calculators. Okay, they can allow a magnifying glass. Even in certain cases, that again you can refer to that table which I was telling you about, computer is permissible. Now, not any computer, you can the examinee can get the laptop or a computer. Now that computer will be examined by the computer teacher. It will be formatted so that, and it will be checked that there is no internet connection. Children are very smart. They are much more smarter than us. So all that, those checks need to be in place before anything like a computer is permissible. And if you need the computer for your child, please again ask in advance. Then attendance, that is also a very important factor. Children, like for example, if you remember the list of disabilities I told you, somebody who has thalassemia, that child might need medical attention every now and then, or even sickle cell disease. They need to be blood transfusion needs to be done every now and then for such children. So they might be sick, like you must be knowing, cancer is also on rise. Now, there was this child in our school, she was fighting cancer. So she did not come to school for a very long time. Had it been any other child, her candidature would have been, she would have been terminated. But that child was given that opportunity. Not only that, for this particular child, we had a separate examiner. She wrote her board exams. She got wonderful marks. So she did her exam from the school infirmary, where a nurse was permanently present to take care of her. So I am very lucky to be in a school which helps us, or which is there for every student. Similarly, for children with special needs, who have medical conditions, who cannot attend school very regularly, even up to 50% is considered. Okay, but again, everything from the principal with the supporting documents. Now, there are specific concessions. So we are almost halfway through. Can we have a thumbs up if I am clear in what I am trying to say to the audience? Okay, so should we move further? Anything, you can put it in the chat box. Any question, I will take it up a little later. All right, so we move on. Now I will talk about concessions which are very specific to class 10 and class 12. The biggest concession, now this is up to class 8. Up to class 8, we all know that 3-language system is followed in our country. We have English. I can say this about in UP, we have Hindi, and then in we have a regional language, or anybody can take French, German, Sanskrit, depending on the school, what is it offering. So even if the child is having a certain disability from the very beginning, like in our school starts, Sanskrit or French starts in class 5. Straight away, we can request the board, send in an application. You see, this is a child with this disability. Please exempt her from the 3rd language, and they have done it. Most of my SLD children do not do 3rd language. Now, it also depends on their level of disability. Now, dyslexia can be mild from severe. So if it is a severe case, not only the 3rd language, even the 2nd language can be exempted. I had a child who was hearing impaired. So she got her implant done quite later. So when she got her implant done, by then her speech hadn't developed. I could decipher what she's saying, but she, I mean, it was very difficult for her to do two languages. So from the very beginning, we requested the board and they very happily agreed. Okay, exempt her from the second language. So she only did one language. That means in class 10, she did not write 6 exams. She wrote 5 exams. So let's say one compulsory language and then any 4 subjects from group 1 and group 2. Now, please correct me if I am wrong, but as far as I know, in CBSE, you need to have maths and science and social science as compulsory subjects. Unlike ICSE, which after class 8 gives you an option of leaving maths. Now, CBSE has very recently introduced something like basic maths and advanced maths. But in ICSE, you can totally leave maths. You can just leave the subject of maths. Our school offers that. Okay. So, another concession which can be given is a bigger, an enlarged font size, especially when you have maths. I mean, if you see maths and if it's a dyslexic child, you see it's numbers and alphabets together. Oh my God, bless that child. It's a big confusion in the brain. So enlarged font can help. We all know fonts, the sans fonts are much more preferred by children with reading disability. Fonts like Times New Roman is total no-no for them. Wherever we don't want more confusion in life. So we can request a larger font. Okay. So these are the group 1 and group 2 subjects. So any 4 can be chosen, the child is free to choose. But only condition is if you choose computer applications in group 1, you cannot choose information technology. Now, these facilities are also very school dependent. Okay, now suppose the school has so many options, teachers for so many options, they can provide. The problem happens not with the board. The problem happens with the school. The school might not have teachers to teach home science or to teach bookkeeping. So what to do? Therefore, in such cases, we later after class 8 even recommend to shift the board to NIOS. Okay, that is a different webinar topic altogether. But what I'm trying to say, the board gives you flexibility. If the school is not able to give, then you are stuck. Okay. Now, these are some special concessions for class 12. Here, practical exams can be, exchanged with some multiple choice question. Now, if a child has cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, or some kind of problem where doing physically the lab work is not possible, in that case, you can apply for a multiple choice alternate question paper for such students. Again, all that has to be supported by the head of the institution and the medical practitioner from whom you are getting the certificate. So these are CICSE concession. They give extra time only up to 45, unlike their up to 60. Reader and scribe allowed. Exactly in the same way you have to apply, but CBSE bears the cost of the scribe. Here the parent bears. If the scribe is, what we do in school. This is something we do it on a very regular basis. We approach a good class 9 child and we tell her that why don't you help? Since ours is an inclusive school, most of the children have studied with children with special needs from the very beginning. So there is a lot of support system internally. The teachers will support, the peers will support, and they are ready to go that extra mile. So class 9 child, we explain, listen child, can you help this particular child? And it will be like a practice for you to write your board exam. They happily agreed. I have never ever got a no from my class 9 student. And I give this responsibility to the class teacher of class 9. Pick up a child who is compassionate, who could be ready to help. And this system of compassion and helping others is very deeply rooted in our school. So I'm thankful I'm teaching in a school where this support, see, this support system has grown over years. It is not today which is happening. So over the years, the students have become more acceptable to their peers. All right, a separate question paper can be requested. Computer, again, same conditions will be formatted, will be checked. Okay, now we also have a concept of oral and oral exams in board in class for English and Hindi. So that oral exam can also be exempted. So I had a child with hearing impairment, and we did, excuse her of her oral. So whatever she is getting in theory out of 80, that is given out of 100. It is like moderated, basically. Now they allow, say ICSE allow calculators, simple calculator, not the Casio. There is a certain specification which is given on the board website. Only that calculator is allowed. Simple calculator, okay, which is not allowed in CBSE. So this is a sample application. I have, hidden the name of the child. We need to be discreet. Now, this child had a profound hearing impairment. Okay, and we had approached the board when she was, I think, in class 1 or so, when her mother got her diagnosed by the doctors of AIMS. And we kept everything together. So I had asked for 3 things. Okay, what I want to show you what I have asked for. I had asked that if she can be exempted from the second language. Second, next thing I asked that if where is it? No, okay, sorry. For her, I asked only this. So this is something which is, because she is a very good student. She's still with us. She's now, I think, in class 12. And she is a very diligent, hardworking child and has always scored very well. So only removing Hindi helped her. And you see, we have also written that according to what is given on the council website, because she had 75% profound hearing loss, and board says if it is over 60%, then we can exempt her. So we quoted what is written on the website, tell them, sometimes the people forget. Okay, so we have written that we have registered for 6 subjects, but please exempt her from Hindi, and she was exempted. So she appeared for 5 subjects instead of 6. Okay, and then what did we give as enclosures? This is something I think you can, take a screenshot. Whatever previous correspondence we have been corresponding for this child for a very long time. So all previous correspondence, I had enclosed a copy. Then diagnosis by AIMS Delhi, who could be better? Also, we got a certification of disability from CMO Lucknow. And then we got a report from the speech therapist, because she was under speech therapy for some time. Okay. Then there is another case. This case is of a dyslexic student. She was also under our care from the very beginning. This child, again, here I had asked for 3 things. A scribe, which is called amanuensis in ICSE, you see their English. And then second, that please overlook her spelling mistake. Just to remind them, though she's a dyslexic child, they will overlook, but just to remind them. And third thing, I asked for an additional 30 minutes of time. Because, for her, even answering was not so easy, because her paragraph writing, I would say, was not coherent. One point she will write and say, no, this is not right. I want to write this. So it would take more time to complete the paper. So all 3 things were granted to us. All 3 things. And see, this is what we enclosed, the copy of, this is the child whose application got rejected. First time, not exactly rejected. There they just sent me with a note that please give us a latest assessment report. Now she was assessed, I think, in class 6. Then we got her assessed in class 9. So we gave a copy of that assessment report. We even gave copy of the report cards of 6, 7, 8, and 9. Because this application process starts right after the half yearlies in class 9. And then copies of all the previous correspondence. So this is what, and everything was granted to her, and she scored, I think, around 85%. One of my dyslexic girls to whom I had provided Scribe, she scored above 90%. She's still in our school and now in class 12. So let's see. Now, last, I would come to the IB board recommendations. Now, IB board is most lenient and most flexible, because I'm telling you, I learned the concept of special education. I witnessed this when I was abroad. So IB board, I have seen, has given much more concession and accommodation than any other. They even give rest periods. You know, if you feel that this child gets tired very quickly, so that child, like, they don't talk about, they don't call it extra time, they call it rest period. Okay, you can rest for a while. Then they have communicators who are able to convey information with the help of hearing, with him, especially with hearing impairments, using lip speaking, sign language. So, but it should be there in school. If the school doesn't have a person who knows sign language, then it becomes difficult. Then there are prompters, very helpful for ADHD student. We all know ADHD student, it's very difficult for that student to sit on that chair for 2 continuous hours to write her or his paper. And now she is writing and now she's looking somewhere else. She's lost in her own thoughts. So we need somebody to just prompt her. Come on, come back to your, that's what we do in the resource room, won't we? That's what we do in our classrooms. That, okay, I can see you are watching outside the window, just going to her, just telling her, just nudging, coaxing her, come on, quickly complete it. Then you can look around what birds are sitting. Okay, so prompters. Then there are modifications in the examination paper. So for hearing and visual issues, such as they provide exam in braille, in large prints, prints on colored paper, very helpful for a dyslexic child, very helpful when the print is on, this black and white is very, very annoying to a dyslexic child. Then there is also like audio recordings. So IB board can even provide an exam on CD, but you see, this is a limited service, and especially with exams where illustrations are there or diagrams are there. Let's say if it is a maths exam and there is a geometry problem, how will that be recorded on a CD? So therefore, then you can ask for a separate question paper. Then the candidate can even dictate this to a recording technology. Okay, it can also be done. So these are the basic concessions. These are the websites which you might find helpful about CBSE, ICSE, and then what are the rights of persons with disability, and then we can always go back to Rehab Council site for more information. So that's all I had to offer, and I really, really hope you found it helpful